Hello, Minecraftians, and welcome to another episode of Realm News, where I put real in realm and expand your mind one block at a time. I am your host, The Dark Lord, and I welcome you all to Maps, Maprooms, and Compasses. Thank you for being here today. I want to start this off with a couple questions. Have you ever been lost in the overworld? I'm sure you all have, especially at the beginning, especially the first time ever playing. Did you start off with a map or compass? I didn't. I forgot to put that setting on. And if you didn't, wow, it can be a frightful experience. Disorienting. Very lonely feeling. Very lonely in this expansive game that just goes on forever. So I'm going to try to help you avoid common mistakes in this episode with maps. Let's get started, people. So I want to start this episode off with not maps, but with a poll, everybody. The mushroom poll. Yes, I conducted another simple yes and no poll. And this one pertains to last week's episode number 2. Titled Mushroom Island and Zombie Spores. And if you guys didn't catch that episode, I recommend you give it a listen. It was a really fun episode where we covered the whole Mushroom Island. If you remember, if you did listen to it, the mycelium block, the flyagric mushroom, cordyceps, and just how creepy those can be in real life. That was a really fun episode. And remember, I did state this poll in number 2 in that episode, but at that time it was a live poll, guys. And this is just the updated, conclusive version of that same poll. Not the version, but that poll. Here's I want to go on to read the results. We got some more voters. They all came to the polls, all 23 of them. And I wish I had a drum roll, but I do not have that effect right now. One day. And it looks like the majority of people said no on this question of are mushrooms controlled by the red agaric mushrooms, or those mushrooms that are on the mushroom's body. And like I said in episode 2, you can see that mushroom on top of the mushroom's head. I posit, my theory is, it's a cordyceps akin to that cow and took that cow over and controls it. But the majority of people, 13 people out of 23 votes, said no. 10 people said yes. But that was a really fun poll. And so the people have spoken. They believe that the mushroom is not controlled by the fly agaric on its head. I still do. It just seems too apparent to me. And also the black eyes seem like an indicator that's related to the black eyes of a zombie that we see in the overworld. And so it's just too similar, and it just looks too apparent to be a cordyceps and controlling it. But that's just me. And I want to keep doing these polls, guys, because they're just fun, and I think you guys enjoy them too. Now on to map history, okay, guys? So before I get into describing and telling you exactly how you can craft your own maps in the game, I thought it'd just be great to add the history of our human history of maps. You know, just how far back did we start to make these devices to orient ourselves in nature, in our surroundings? I was curious. So I found this amazing article on maps, which will be in my description down below the show, like I always do with my articles there. It's titled From Ptolemy to GPS, The Brief History of Maps by Clive Thompson. And that was from SmithsonianMagazine.com. And I want to start off with him describing one of the oldest maps ever discovered. And this is the one I chose. There's a lot of old maps, but this one, according to the article, was made of clay and about the size of a tablet, he quotes. And when he says tablet, I read in that article about, like, I'd say the size of an iPhone. And this tablet, this wasn't listed in that article. I had to find this part in Wiki, just what it was called. And it does have a name. It's called the Imago Mundi. And Thompson goes on to describe, though, that it was made in around 700 to 500 BCE. So it's pretty old. This was discovered in Mesopotamia. Some of you people may have heard of Mesopotamia. I want to kind of specify the geographical location of this region. And I pulled this also from Wikipedia, the Mesopotamia. It would be considered where present-day Iraq is today. Also in the area of the Fertile Crescent. And this broader region includes Iran, Kuwait, Syria, and Turkey, if that gives you kind of an indicator of where this artifact was discovered. And I just want to give you a little perspective on all that. I think that kind of, helps you, the listener. And I kind of want to describe what it looks like to you, just how I see it, this image that was in Wikipedia. And it's really cool, and you guys should check this out because it's just fascinating to see. It looks ancient. It really does. And I'm not an archaeologist, so it looks like it would take an archaeologist to just kind of depict what this all meant. Obviously, this was written in cuneiform, and from what I describe, I see circles that kind of looks like a sun with some points coming out, and then another circle within that. And I found on this online, you can just Google it, like a picture that kind of details it, and it just shows what it all was, like what the symbols that I'm looking at actually mean, the archaeologists. And back to Clive Thompson's article, he describes it. He specifies what these symbols all mean. The center ring, I'm guessing, is what he's describing as Babylon is the center of this, or that's the city, indicating that was the main city of this map maker. And the Euphrates River is cutting through the middle of the city, dividing it. And they have on this little tablet, the whole ocean is surrounding Babylon. And it's very rudimentary, not very detailed. Few places are named on it besides Babylon. The author points out that it wasn't for navigation, really. Because, if you look at this, you won't be able to navigate anything. This thing's just, it looks really cool. It does. And you can tell it looks like clay. It's all cracked and weathered from all the centuries of being unearthed. But this quote in his article was, it was to help the map holder grasp the idea of the whole world with himself at the center, end quote. And that line in this article, I just love that line because to me it hits it on the head when it comes to maps and compasses and everything, and the map rooms in the game even, because I love how I can look at my maps in my kingdom and it just gives like this unifying sense, and it shows your relative place in the world. And the same in real world. And also, when you're holding that compass, it's a sense of security. You know where you're at, and this invisible force that's just going around the earth is just there to help guide you. And I think there's something just really intrinsically just fascinatingly cool about that. Before moving on to how to make maps in Minecraft, I think it's worth mentioning a guy in history. And I really want to get to this guy here before I tell you how to make maps. His name was Claudius Ptolemy, and he was an interesting fellow. Claudius Ptolemy was a very interesting guy. Like, this article doesn't describe enough of him, and I'm going to have to probably do a little bit more research into him because I want to know more. Like, this article by Clive Thompson just increased my appetite to learn more about this guy because of, well, you'll hear a little bit. Let's fast forward to 200 AD, right? To Claudius Ptolemy, and he was a man very obsessed with astrology, astronomy, all the things, the celestial bodies of the night, right? But there was one thing that he loved more than the night sky, and that was horoscopes. You know, those things that you can find in the newspaper that litter your spam. And I mean, they're neat. Myself, I'll read one every once in a while, take a glance, but I'm not like a believer in it. But Ptolemy, he was, he loved this stuff, and he needed it. Like, he needed to be able to place people's homes on a map accurately in order to give accurate horoscope readings. And I mean, that makes perfect sense. I need to do more research into horoscopes, but I'm sure that was actually a respected thing back then. Probably a profession, I'm sure. And I'm just saying that as off the top of my head there. But so he wanted to go out and find a way to accurately map people's homes for accurate readings. And I mean, why not? So he went about inventing longitude and latitude. You know, those lines on the globe, if you've seen a globe or on a map, I'm sure they still teach that in school, I hope. Maybe not. But those are longitude and latitude lines, and those help pinpoint where the location of a place. And he defined these longitude and latitude lines by mapping about 10,000 towns accurately, by gathering information from people. He would, from travelers, and he was able to map it that way, all the way from these towns from Europe to Africa to Asia, and all for the love of horoscopes. But he was the dude who figured out how to put also the spherical Earth on a two-dimensional piece of paper. This is how clever he was. He wanted to be able to make it more accurate. And according to the article, the Romans and Greeks already knew the Earth was a sphere, and he did too. But he was able to actually put that onto paper. And you know what? He when he was asked, like, hey, dude, wow, this is amazing. What is the name of this technique? And he looked at him and he said, geography. So thank you, Ptolemy, for helping propel navigation into the future, all the way to people using GPS to drop off my food. And now to us Minecraftians mimicking these principles in our beloved game. I mean, guys, isn't knowledge great? Like, you can link Ptolemy helping develop maps and leading to advanced navigation to us mimicking it in the game, guys. I just think that's so cool. And so now let's get into crafting those maps in the game. So we all know it is really easy to get lost in Minecraft. Easy to trance out while chopping wood or just forgetting to set down torches and get caught in the dark. So I want to overview how to make maps starting with the basics. And I know this all sounds trivial to more advanced Minecrafters, but I thought this was a good refresher even for myself and for all of you who are just now launching in for the first time. And I'm not like an advanced Minecrafter. I've been playing forever, but I haven't even gone to the end yet. I've just been taking my time exploring, and I mean, I've been in the nether and whatnot, but I haven't defeated bosses per se. But yeah, I thought this was kind of interesting to get into, you know, how to make paper, the basics, the crafting table, and compass, and obviously the map itself, and what that's all used for. So first, let's get into paper. For paper, you're going to need a crafting table to make paper. Otherwise, without crafting table, you're just going to be able to make sugar, and that's not what we're making today. We aren't cooking here today, guys. That'll be for another episode when we get into those delectables. So go to a crafting table nearby. You know, those are really easy to make. I'm not going to explain that to you. If you're not near one, just make one. Or if you're just taking notes, just write that down. Just go to a crafting table, and you will want to have 3 sugar cane. You're going to need sugar cane to make the paper. And you're going to need to have at least 3 sugar cane and no less. Otherwise, they'll just let you make sugar. But the 3 sugar cane will give you 3 maps. And by the way, I'm going to be leaving a YouTube video on how sugar cane is used to make paper in real life. I found a cool video when I was Googling this YouTube video. It's like 5 minutes long. You'll be able to find that on my Twitter, or now X feed, at Realm News 247, at Realm News 247. Pretty easy, guys, to just type that in and you'll find it. I plan on posting that pretty soon. And I have other articles I'll be posting that are related to these topics, which I find interesting. So, okay, now that you have 3 pieces of paper, let's get you that cartography table, which if you have a city or a village around, you can put that down in town, and bam, now you will have a cartographer once you put another bed down, and, you know, they have a kid, and that kid will grow up to be a cartographer, and you can trade all sorts of things with that character. But I'm not delving into the cartographer today, or the techniques of the cartographer today. Maybe in a future episode when we delve into villagers one day, guys. And I will talk a little bit about emeralds and trading with a cartographer in this episode when we get to explore maps a little bit later. But let's first get to how to make this cartography table. Sorry, let me try to speak here. And let me just give a quick description of what it looks like. They're pretty cool. I always thought they were cool. I've always been into maps though, and so all navigational type things just intrigue me, and even in the game. And once you look at this block, you can tell it's made from wood, the plank, whatever type you use. But it has on top of it, it looks like a world map on the corner, on the top, and angling off to the side, just draped down to the side like it's being flattened or something, creased. For some reason. And then there's looks like a compass, and then there looks like another piece of paper of some sorts, or maybe that's supposed to be the crafting grid itself when you're making these. But that's all on the very top when you're looking down. And on this block, you can tell it has 2 handles that you can carry it around with. So I don't know, it's just kind of a cool block that I think would probably look cool in a sea town, you know, or an island because of the navigation. Or if you built a boat, obviously it'd go great in a boat. If you were like one of those builders that make those huge real life looking boats in the game. Yeah, I'm sure you already know about all that though. The cartography table now is a very, very inexpensive block to make. It's really easy, guys. You just need 2 pieces of that paper out of the 3 you made. And 4 planks of wood. It doesn't really matter what type of wood you have. It could be even cherry blossom wood, oak, whatever. And just, yeah, wherever you chop down, the overworld will do just fine. And now, once you have all this, you will have the option to craft a cartography table at the crafting table. It'll be right there. And so go ahead and craft that. And we will move on to how to make a map with the cartography table, which is the fun part, right, guys? Maps to me are super important. First off, let me tell you another lost story of mine. I entered my world, my realm, as the Dark Lord lost. I had nothing. I mean nothing. I forgot, or I was oblivious to the fact of even turning on that setting. Like, I hadn't played Minecraft in years, and I didn't even think to have turned it on, like compass or locator map, because my brother, the Sun King, when he entered his, he had one. And I didn't know that for months, so I relied on sunflowers and things like that for a long time. And you learn to adapt in this game, which is pretty fun. But now I have a monster map room, and I haven't even scratched the surface of mapping my realm, like in the in-betweens of my cities. But more on my map room later. These maps I'm about to describe to you, these will help guide you and avoid the misery I was put in when I didn't have a map or a locator map in my world. So these really help you. And to craft a map, I want you to go to your cartography table. Or if you're not playing right now, remember to go to your cartography table. And the one that you just crafted earlier. And open that up. I have mine opened up right now, and I'm looking at it. And I play on Bedrock, guys. I have a PS4. I just haven't paid for the subscription forever, so I just been playing Bedrock and got accustomed to it. I know there's a big dispute between Java and Bedrock too, but I'm going to try to list a couple things Java as well when I can in these shows. Anyways, open that up, the cartography table, and as you notice, there will be your inventory on the left, showing all your stuff, your personal stuff. Then on the right will be your cartography table, and in that center of the screen there on the right panel, I should say, is that brown chess. It looks like you're going to play checkers or chess. Looking grid of wood. Above that are 2 slots, and you will place your paper in the left upper slot. Do that, and bam, place that there. You have a map. It will tell you just one piece of paper placed in that left slot. At the bottom, 1 slot below that chessboard looking thing, you can just hit that, and you crafted a map. Or it's a blank map at the moment. You still have to open it up. But you can go ahead and name it if you want. I'll name mine Seatown, since that's kind of my capital city of the world. So there's a couple maps you can make. Actually, there's a few in the game. You have your standard map, which I'm going to go on to explain, and then you have your compass map, your locator map, and then you have explorer maps. So the standard map where I'm going to start here is pretty much a geographical picture of where the grid you are standing at in the world of the overworld. Now, see, Minecraft is set up, how can I explain this? It's partitioned into grids. And each map, kind of depending on your zoom, which there's 4 different zooms, which I'll get to in a bit, shows the geography of the grid that you are standing on. So let's say that you create that map. It's going to show you where you are standing. And since it's a standard map, not low-care map, it's not going to show where you are on that map when you're looking at. Just want to let you know that. It will not show you what you have not yet discovered either in that grid. It will show a space, like that certain radius of, I believe, rendering of the blocks. But beyond that, you need to go over there and explore it. Now, we have our map, and maybe you name that map. Like I said, it gave you an option. But now we have a map, right? Like I told you to create earlier. And in fact, I want you to make 4 of those, I should have said earlier, because we'll probably use those other 3 here in a second. Besides, we're going to use all 4. And exit out of the cartography screen, and after you make those, and put those maps on hand in your inventory on your up front screen. And select the map and hit create map, and voila, you have your map, like I said. And once you see that and you're holding it in your hand, it's going to generate the rendered blocks around you on that map up to a certain distance, and then the rest will be a brown margin that you will see on the map there. And you need to go do some exploring to fill that map up. And you can get achievements in your game, I believe, if you fill 9 item frames with maps and connect them. You'll get some sort of achievement. Now, let me see here. I mentioned that you can zoom out that map up to 4 times, right? Like, if you think that's just too small, that original basic map, then you can go ahead and add more to it to zoom that map out and make it bigger so you can cover more territory all on one sheet of paper, as opposed to having a bunch. I found this awesome article by Ollie Toms, how to make a Minecraft maps, cartography tables, and explore maps explained by rockpapershotgun.com. I'll provide that in the description of the show, like I usually do. And I couldn't remember all the dimensions off the top of my head, the zoom levels, so that's why I went ahead and Googled and found this article so I can go ahead and tell you precisely. So that map you have holding your hand is exactly 128 by 128 blocks. That's squared, I should say, squared. That's how much territory you're looking at, 128 by 128. So if you add another piece of paper, like if you go back to your cartography table and you add that map back in there into that left, that upper left space, and then that plus sign and then to the right of that plus sign, you add in just a sheet of paper, not another map, but a sheet of paper. You're adding paper to that map to increase the zoom. So zoom 1, let's go to the next level. Zoom 1, that's going to increase it to 256 blocks by 256 blocks of territory you will visually see on that map. Let's go ahead and zoom out to 2. That brings it to 512 by 512. Let's bring out further, guys. Zoom out to zoom 3. That's going to be 1,024 by 1,024. Guys, that's getting big. Like, if you're new to the game, I don't know if you have your little your positioning coordinates set up on it. Like, you can turn that off or on, but I turned mine on later. And it's very useful. I don't consider it cheating having it on. I like to play very old school, like vanilla Minecraft, so I even have that on. And it's very useful, but if you will know with that XY longitude latitude numbers on your screen how far 1,024 is. That's getting up there, guys. Like, so that map's showing quite a bit of land. So let's zoom out to 4 now, like adding 4 pieces of paper to this map that you started off with. That's going to double from Zoom 3. Like, these are just doubling. If you haven't caught that, they're doubling every time. Almost, I should say. But this one's doubled to 2048 by 2048 blocks. That is big. And I personally haven't utilized the biggest map up until now. I did it the other day, guys. It was pretty cool. I just had to, because I was able to map my entire kingdom with just 4 maps doing so. And yes, it lacks detail zoomed out that far, but I'm proud to say now, in my map room, I can see that my entire kingdom next to my local big map. So I have my huge local map of my new world, and then I have my global map. Like, I'll get to that later, a global map. But it's pretty awesome. Typically I just go with the good old basic 128 by 128, but some of these maps get huge. If you get online, you can see some people's map rooms. I recommend you just delve into Google and see some of this stuff. But Java people can put banners on their maps, which I think is really cool. As a Bedrock person, as I mentioned, I found a cool way to put a form of banner on the map. But what you do is you take a map, a locator map, and you make copies of that locator map. And you go ahead and you go to the places that you want to mark, and you put an item frame at that location, and you put the copy of that map there. And it'll leave a green symbol on the map you're holding in your hand of that other map. It's kind of like those maps are all connected. So you'll have a bunch of green symbols, but it's kind of cool that you'll be able to now see those on a map. Also, you can use a glass pane. If you have a glass block, you can make panes of glass, guys. And in your cartography table, if you want to freeze a map, like let's say like you make your map, right, of a forest, and let's say you freeze that map. And how you'll freeze it is you'll put your map back in the cartography table in the upper left, and you'll add a glass pane on the right, and that will freeze it. And what it does is, like, let's say you go back to that forest of where you took that map, and you chop down all the trees, you deforest it, and that map's not going to change. That's the crazy thing. These maps are all kind of linked until you freeze them. And then they don't change no matter what you build, what structures you put in that map grid area, or trees you cut down, or other alterations you do to the environment. It will not change that map. So it's kind of cool. So I like that function personally, because my girlfriend, her name is Gaia Divine in this game. She hasn't played forever, but she built this awesome lighthouse. Anyways, I gave her a map of that lighthouse because it was very visible, and I froze it with a glass pane and put the item frame outside the lighthouse, kind of dedicating it. And so I think it's kind of a cool way to give gifts to players, like and to preserve a geographical moment of a place, I think. Like if you move into a really cool spot, you can make a map of it before you tear it down, deforest it, and colonize it. And you can kind of keep that as a little clip of history. And then maybe have a cartoon flip book, type scenario. You can look at your wall of how your geographical landscape changed over time. Like, that'd be kind of cool. I don't know, I have a lot of ideas for that. But if you have, like I said, a copy of a map that's not frozen, it will update all the other maps. So it's like they're all synced together, if you will. So if you're holding one of the copies of that map in your hand, and let's say you have 10 others in other areas in your realm or your overworld, and you go to that area holding that map, it's going to update everything that's changed and correlate that with all the other maps across your kingdom. Anyways, that can be kind of useful too, I think. I kind of want to get into locator maps now. This is going to be a long episode, guys, but I honestly thought this was going to be a shorter episode too, but I forgot that maps are actually pretty elaborate in this game, so there's a lot to talk about. So hang in there with me, and I want to go on to locator maps. So I want to talk about locator maps, and I want to give a brief history of just compasses, because those are associated with locator maps. You need those, and I want to talk about this before we move on to Maprooms. And yeah, the locator map's very useful. I don't think anybody can dispute that. I didn't use one for months, as I stated earlier, but just to let you know, at the crafting table, if you had 4 iron bars and 1 redstone dust and a map, you would be able to make a locator map. A compass is 4 iron and 1 redstone dust at the crafting table. Then you would take a map at the cartography table and join those two together to form that locator map. Sorry to confuse you. I found a really cool article by a James Hardy titled "Who Invented the Compass? A Brief History of the Compass and Its Evolution." And it was really cool to learn some of this stuff. Like, the compass has been around for quite a long time, actually. It was invented sometime between the 9th and 11th century during the Song Dynasty in China. Which doesn't shock me. It seems like the Chinese have invented almost everything important, so that wasn't really a shocker to me. But you know what was really cool to learn about this was it all started with the discovery of the lodestone. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, we got this in the game too, the lodestone. And that lodestone you can use to recalibrate your compass in the game if you have a lodestone, you can put it somewhere in your overworld, and instead of that compass pointing back to your point of origin, you can, I believe, tap on that lodestone, kind of like if you're rubbing it in real life, to attract a needle, and it will then point you towards that lodestone. So it's a good way to reset your navigation, or to navigate to places that you intend to go besides where you were birthed in the overworld. Anyways, I thought that was really cool, the lodestone. And the Chinese, in this article, they believe it all began with the lodestone. People back, not even just in China. This was even the Vikings. There's a lore with the Vikings that they had a sunstone, or a type of compass that helped navigate them across large expanses of water. And the Egyptians even had a shadow stone, or a shadow compass of sorts. I don't know, so different cultures had these different compasses, or probably just different names for them, depending on the culture. But they would take the lodestone, was the most rudimentary and probably the first way of doing it, and floating that on top of water, and it being just able to float there would just orient itself north to south. And they saw that magical property, and they were able to build off that, which I thought was pretty neat. Now, guys, I want to delve into Maprooms, because I love Maprooms. I have a couple. I only have one true one in my new world, and it's big. I measured it the other day. It's like a 9x12 Maproom. I should say 12 high by, I have it written down, 12 high by 10 wide. So it's not all filled, but it's getting big, and that's in my new world, like I said, and I love going in there, gazing at it. But I want to start the Maprooms off with a Redditor who responded to my question, Maprooms, do you have one? And I got a response from a fellow named going by apprehensive_hat8986, and I asked them if I could use their response, and they said no problem, good luck with your mapping, they said. And I was like, thank you, everybody's been so nice in the Minecraft community, and I urge you guys to comment and let me know about your maps too, please, because I want to implement some of the things you guys have to tell me on this show. And so apprehensive_hat8986 goes on to say, one, no, several. I may have a problem. Then a little emoji. Always make a capital room. map room that has both a small scale global map and a larger scale local map. Then in various major stops, I'll replicate the global map, at least for the span between the stop and the capital, and also have a large-scale local area map. Used to be that I'd work with zoom 0/2/4, but with the minimal difference in detail between 0 and 1, the use of 1 for adventure maps, aka treasure, monuments, etc., and Z3 being functionally 1 kilometer square, now just the two sets suffice at Z1 and Z3. Also, Z3 is easier to see terrain features that show villages, portals, and outposts. At Z4, those often disappear, end quote. And that was apprehensive_hat8986, everybody, and thank you, apprehensive hat. I love that advice. I really do. And I heeded right to it. I went ahead and I Z4'd it out, my world, like I mentioned earlier. I mapped my entire realm, like I said, guys, and it was super easy, especially with railroads connecting my entire empire, which I'm very proud to state. But now I put that up in my global map room, like with my new local map room. So I did what he's doing. I thought that was just great advice, and I would love to hear your guys's, because I do my own idiosyncratic way of mapping things, but I love getting your guys' feedback and getting ideas on how to do like build other map rooms, underground map rooms. I don't have the luxury of placing item frames on the floor like Java people do, which I love those map rooms that are like on a table, a huge table, almost like a military command post or something. I think that's really cool. And so those are just some of the things I love about map rooms, is that it also organizes and it gives your kingdom a sense of unification, or that's how I feel from it. And it just gives me a grand, accomplished feeling. And also, it's a great room to just show off, you know, just to show how much you conquered and built, and to show to your friends and be like, look, I hold dominion in this wild virtual overworld. Haha. I do love my map room. I really do. I have a portal room underneath it. It's right across from my enchantment room. It's in my lair. It's a beautiful setup I have in Silhouette City, guys, where I do my podcasting from to you guys. This is usually where I'm at. I know last week I was in Charmois City. But I want to go ahead and let's delve into some explore maps, guys. Explore maps, according to Minecraft.net, where I found this quote I'm about to drop on you guys, was part of an exploration update on November 2016. Anyways, they go on to say, quote, the easiest way to get an Explore map is to trade it from a journeyman level cartographer villager, which have a good chance to sell them for the low price of a single compass and 12 emeralds. End quote. So that was from, I believe, the Mojang people themselves back in 2016. And I want to go ahead and tell you what I discovered. So there's 3 kinds of Explorer maps. And I got all this from Minecraft Wiki, which I get a lot of info from Minecraft Wiki. I think it's a great place. Seems to be pretty accurate, everything they tell me. So number 1, I kind of labeled these in an order. I have the woodland. You'll find a woodland map, and you can trade that with a cartographer, like they said, journeyman 1. And from what I found, you can do that for 14 emeralds plus a compass. I need to do some trading with my villagers. I've been neglecting that. I don't really do that. The Sun King does. I don't. I have these great expanse of dark forest woods that I call the Valachian Woods. And I want to explore it and I need to get a map from a villager because I'm sure that there's a woodland mansion in there. And I want to find a woodland mansion desperately. I think I read that woodland mansions generate around 10,000 blocks from your point of origin, and I have not got that far quite yet. I've only been out on the diameter of like 6,000. Anyways, guys, let's move on to the next type map. You can find ocean maps, and you can trade those with those journeyman cartographers for 13 emeralds and 1 compass, so that's about an emerald cheaper. And then the buried treasured maps, you guys, I'm sorry, you can't trade those with the villagers. You're gonna have to find those by going swimming for this, from what I read. These are all underwater. They can be found in shipwrecks, underwater temples, and that's another thing I want to do. I need to get an underwater temple. I haven't been daring enough. They're everywhere. I get cursed on one of my sea routes. I need to change up my sea route, but I need to actually just take it out. Well, I'm sick of being cursed. I'm sick of being cursed. I need to just take that thing down. But like I said, the other 2 maps can be traded with the villager cartographer. And let's see, once you get one of those maps, how to read it, there will be an X that marks a spot. And the other worthy places to locate will have a small icon for structures, I guess. But the red X will be, I think, for treasure, and then the small icons, I think, are for woodland mansions. It'll show that some type of icon there. My brother, I can't wait to trade and get one. I need to do that. Maybe I'll do that after I get off the podcast. Let's go trade up a cartographer to journeyman. But my brother, he's got a couple. He loves the trade, like I said. But I asked him the other day, I said, what have you found with your treasure maps? Because I think, actually it wasn't a treasure map. It was a water biome map, but he hasn't found it. He doesn't know if he's missing it or just missing it. I've read online that other people sometimes have a hard time finding that, where the X is indicating on the map. So I guess just keep at it, guys. Just keep trying to look for it. Can't be that far from the X, right? But yeah, I need to get some of those maps. You guys need to get out there and get some of those maps, like I was saying. I just get caught up in exploration on my own. I need to get to trading. But the exploration maps, I think that was a great thing they introduced in 2016. I think that's just an awesome element. I think that can go into lore a lot. In fact, I'm going to start conjuring up some lore and probably implement that into some shows with just maps, the exploration maps. I think they're just awesome. Well, everyone, that wraps up this week's show on maps, Maprooms, and compasses. I know some of the map-making explanations were probably a little redundant for you more experienced players out there, but I am actually glad I researched this because I learned quite a bit. It was a good refresher for me. If I didn't research this, I wouldn't have known that the Chinese were the ones responsible for for compasses and discovering lodestone and implementing that as into a compass and it evolving into what we know it today, down to GPS, and Ptolemy obsessing over horoscopes, which led him to invent the entire field of geography, and him putting it on paper, a 3-dimensional sphere on a 2-dimensional piece of paper. It's just amazing. And we delved into some cool polls, which I'm going to do. I want to try to do every episode, something like that. And we discussed importance and prestige of the Maprooms. And we even heard from a Minecrafter from Reddit themselves on here and their mapping experience. And I think that's so cool, to get people's feedback and hearing what they're doing with their worlds and how they explore and adapt. And I want to hear that from you guys. Like I say, comment. I hope all of you enjoyed this episode. I hope all of you guys got a little bit out of it. I hope you guys always learn a little bit from it. I hope it intrigues you. I hope it gets you motivated to go build your own map room and just build and get imaginative and just explore. And, until next Thursday, I want you guys to keep exploring and keep on crafting. And I'll see you guys then. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this episode, please hit that plus sign up there and follow me so you can get my latest weekly episodes sent directly to you on your Spotify. And send this podcast to your friends. Comment on each episode and take a poll that I'll be leaving. That's all available at these podcasts. And I would love to hear the feedback and see the interaction, guys. And don't forget to rate the show. This will help me improve it and just make it a better format. And I really take constructive feedback. Also, you can find me at what was formerly called Twitter, but now is X, at Realm News 247. Again, at Realm News 247. So you can find me there at X, guys. Just type that in and I'm sure I'll pop up. I'll be putting some cool articles and videos from my research polls and Minecraft related content. Keep on crafting.